Come with us to Estonia, the most northern of the Baltic countries, and Finland, one of the world's most northern and remote countries, a symbolic northern border between Western and Eastern Europe. My family is taking this flight from Stockholm, Sweden. After an hour, we got a glimpse of Tallinn, the capital of Estonia. We are booked in this historic hotel in the Old Town from 1877, owned by the family von Stackelbergs. It is built against the city walls that dates back in the 17th century. Amazing how they were able to preserve the place with little renovation. This is the walled city of Tallinn, Estonia. Settlers are thought to have arrived at what is now Estonia some 9,000 years BC. Since then, it has been fought over by Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Poland, and Russia. Estonia was ruled by the Russians since 1721, at the time of Tsar Peter the Great, the founder of St. Petersburg, Russia, 370 kilometers east of this capital city, Tallinn. In February 24, 1918, Estonia first declared independence from Russia, but was invaded by the advancing German army the very next day during the First World War that started in 1914. When Germany lost the war in November of 1918, Estonia became independent. Tallinn, Estonia's capital on the Baltic Sea, a city of 427,000 people, is the country's cultural hub. It retains its walled cobblestone old town, home to cafes and shops. Its Gothic town hall, built in the 13th century, has a 64-meter high tower that sits on Tallinn's main square. We are going to the upper Old Town, to the Tompea Hill, with an elevation of 300 meters above sea level. The Tompea Hill houses old buildings and structures, and quite a number of medieval churches. Despite the churches on this hill, only a minority of the population practice Christianity. The majority are non-believers and even atheists. Kiek and the Cook fortification built in 1483 is now a museum and forms a complex over 500 meters long that includes 4 towers. And just when you think you're safe to strike a pose, a photo bomber appears. The 4 towers include Kiek and the Cook in German, which means peek in the kitchen, named because when you're in the tower, you can see everybody's kitchen. The Maiden's Tower that has a coffee shop, the Taliton Tower, and the Gate Tower of the Short Leg. There are also several beautiful, quaint, old-fashioned shops in the area. Still in the Tompea Hill are beautiful structures. This area in Tallinn has some good restaurants, and we are having lunch here. Two important structures crown the hill of Tompea, the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral and the Estonian Parliament Building. The Alexander Nevsky Cathedral is an Orthodox church in the Tallinn Old Town. It was built in a Russian Revival style between 1894 to 1900, when the country was first under Russian rule. It is Tallinn's largest Orthodox church, dedicated to Saint Alexander Nevsky, who in 1242 won the Battle of the Ice on Lake Peipus in Estonia and soon established his priestly ministry. The Iron Curtain divided Europe into those in the west of the line and USSR to the east after the defeat of Germany in the Second World War in 1944. Russia, now called the USSR, placed Estonia under communist rule. As the communists are non-religious, all churches in Estonia, including the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, fell into neglect. The Tompea Castle, built in the 9th century, an ancient stronghold for ages, now houses the Parliament of Estonia. This St. Olaf's Church is the city's biggest medieval structure, first mentioned in 1267. It became one of the main churches in the lower Old Town and formed its own congregation that led to the start of Church Reformation of Martin Luther, or Protestantism in Tallinn, in 1523. This is the Town Hall Square, where this 13th century town hall and tower stands. We love to hang out here, grab a bite, have beer, and enjoy people watching in the square. For 48 years, from 1944 to 1991, or until the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the USSR, Estonia was under Russia's communist rule and experienced repression from the communist regime. After its independence, this freedom is still being enjoyed by the Estonians to this day. The Virile Gate is Tallinn's entrance to the old walled city and has stood here since the Middle Ages. This is also the gateway to the new town or modern Tallinn, where high-rise buildings, the business district, and this modern Virokeskus Mall is located. This mall is connected to the Hotel Viru that opened in May of 1972 during the Soviet era. It is the only high-rise hotel at that time and is owned by the communist state. During the Soviet era, the 23rd floor of the hotel housed the KGB radio center, used to bug, eavesdrop, and spy on the hotel guests. 60 of the hotel rooms had concealed espionage device. Even restaurant tables had microphones. A espionage trade the Soviets perfected for years, a grim reminder to the free world, we are watching you. In 1991, with the fall of the USSR and the Soviets' Iron Curtain, a term coined by England's Winston Churchill, Estonia sang their way to freedom. The singing revolution signaled the events leading to the independence of the three Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. For 5 nights till daybreak, 100,000 Estonians gathered to sing protest songs. Riding on the profits of shale oil, a precursor of gasoline and liquid petroleum, tourism, and many startup information and communication technology companies like Skype, founded by Estonia's Jan Tallinn, companies like Ericsson and Microsoft, Estonia has experienced a new vigor in its economy and rapid progress in employment. Estonia, a country with 1.3 million people, shares a 294-kilometer-long border with Russia and has been part of the USSR until its 1991 independence. As the Russians brutally invade Ukraine, just 20 hours drive away from Estonia, the dark cloud of war now looms and hovers above beautiful and peaceful Estonia. A member of the EU and NATO, Estonia's security is guaranteed by the alliance. It also makes them a target in case the war spills over. May God protect this country. It's a new day in Tallinn, Estonia. Today we are taking the Viking Line Express ferry to Helsinki, Finland, 80 kilometers north across the Gulf of Finland. Foot passengers and those with vehicles can take this 2.5-hour ferry ride. Finland is a country located in Northern Europe. Since a major part of it is in the Arctic Circle, it is one of the world's most geographically remote countries and is subject to a severe cold climate. Nearly two-thirds of the country is covered by woodlands. Although not part of the USSR and outside of the Iron Curtain, it has been recurrently invaded and subjugated by Russia, first in 1808, then in 1899 by Tsar Nicholas II. In the outbreak of the Second World War, Finland saw another Russian invasion. Despite fierce resistance, the Finns are forced to concede. They were forced to pursue a policy of friendly neutrality to the Soviet Union, which became coined as Finlandization in the 1940s, a term which connotes succumbing to a greater power, a term the Finns hate to hear. As the ferry enters the bay in the Finland capital of Helsinki, you can see it skillfully maneuvering between the fortress island of Suomenlinna and another small island. This shot was taken while in Suomenlinna. Almost as big as Germany, Finland is sparsely populated, with only 5.54 million people, of mostly Finns and Samis in the north. This is Helsinki, Finland's southern capital. It is home to 632,000 people, majority of which speaks Finnish and Swedish. It sits in a peninsula in the Gulf of Finland. Its central avenue is flanked by institutions including the National Museum, the Parliament House, and the Ouspensky Cathedral that overlooks the harbor. Several modern malls and restaurants are in this area. This main train station is where you take an overnight train to the Lapland in the north of Finland. The Lapland, though it saw fierce battles between Russians and Finns for 7 months in 1945, is one of the most beautiful wilderness in the Arctic Circle. From Helsinki to the Lapland in the north, Finland shares 1,340 kilometers long border with Russia. This is where the real legend of Santa Claus lives, with herds of reindeers being cared for by the local Sami people. If you've been good, you might be able to find one. You may also witness the aurora borealis and the midnight sun, which you can also experience in Iceland, in the north of Norway, Sweden, Russia, and Canada. Next stop, the Rock Church. The Rock Church is a Lutheran church in the Tulo neighborhood of Helsinki. Built directly into solid rock, which opened in 1969. It is one of the architectural marvels of Helsinki. Several concerts are held here, as it boasts of wonderful acoustics owing to its design. Next stop, the Sibelius Monument. Johann Julius Christian Sibelius is the most noted Finnish composer who lived from 1865 to 1957. The short-tone poem Finland Awakens, renamed Finlandia in 1899, quickly became the symbol of Finnish struggle for nationhood, extensively used by the Finnish resistance against Russia. You guessed it, my favorite watering stop in any country, the Hardrock Cafe, this time in Helsinki, Finland. The Helsinki Cathedral is a Finnish Lutheran cathedral in the center of the city, built from 1830 to 1852 as a tribute to the Grand Duke of Finland, Tsar Nicholas I of Russia. It was also known as the St. Nicholas Church until the independence of Finland in 1917. This famous structure is in the Senate Square. Finland is a member of the EU and may be soon to be of NATO. With its share of struggles, civil war, invasion and conquests, Finland has come a long way, a testament to the Finnish resilience and fervor to rise from destruction. The largest sector of Finland's economy is services at 72.7%. Employment are mostly in commerce, transport, hotel, education and health, manufacturing and refinery. Nokia Corporation, a Finnish IT company that became popular with smartphones, is still one of the top 5 vendors in Finland. Nokia, also a town in Finland celebrating 30 years of transforming telecommunications, sold its mobile and devices division to Microsoft in 2014. Finland is a happy place to live, and it owes it to a free, relaxed way of life and focuses more on cooperation than competition. It is voted by the United Nations to be the happiest country in the world for the 4th consecutive year until 2021. As I perched into the horizon over the Gulf of Finland after takeoff, I can only feel peace and gladness over what I have experienced in Estonia and Finland. But with the rumbles of war knocking on its doors, no one knows what the future brings. One can only hope.